Hello, hello, hello. It is me, your True Hill Phenom SP3, and this, quite possibly, may be the greatest pay-per-view review roundtable ever.
The greatest show!
I am back with my usual pay-per-view roundtable partner, the connoisseur of all reporting, Mr. Romeo Anthony Colon.
I am worn out. I am tired.
He had so great last night. He got tired. So it's understandable, man. It is understandable.
Then we have a gentleman who's having celebratory shots because he witnessed the greatest wrestling match ever. This is Drunk Guy JJ.
I'm going to remember the day my daughter was born. I'm going to remember my first WrestleMania. And I am absolutely going to remember Randy Orton versus Edge from Backlash last night. Man.
Jesus Christ. We were doing this for two trolls. All right. And finally, we have our special guest. Our special guest for the pay-per-view roundtable. He was a special guest on True Hill Heat 77, our most viewed podcast of 2020. So we had to bring the true draw back. This is Gil Marrero. Josh is back with us. What's going on?
Hey, I'm doing all right. How's it going, guys?
Do you like to go? Would you like to go by Jomo? Like no or
what? The
Jomo?
fuck is that? No.
Oh, like would you like to go by that? I don't know.
Don't.
Cool, man. Hey. Do
me a favor. Never say that again, please.
Quick reminder to you, the viewers watching us right now, drop us a like, give us the thumbs up, make sure we know that you enjoyed these pay-per-view roundtables because we love coming together, talking about these big shows with you. So we need your support by dropping the like, giving us a comment down below, letting us know what you thought about WWE Backlash and quite possibly the greatest wrestling match ever, as well as push the iCard down at the bottom to subscribe and the bell to stay notified for more True Hill Heat. I will kick it over to you to start quarterbacking us through WWE Backlash 2020.
Great show.
On the pre-show for the United States Championship, Apollo beats Andrade. At the end of the match, Kevin Owens is on commentary. Does a stunner to Angel Garza, who's trying to interfere. Cruz wins with a spin-out powerbomb in 7:23. I did not catch most of this match. And Apollo being on the pre-show tells me how serious they're going to take his United States title run. What do you think?
It definitely says a lot about his push, and most of all, I felt bad for Kevin Owens being on the pre-show because that's no place for a former Universal Champion like Kevin Owens. But I liked the match. The match was good. Andrade and Apollo have good chemistry. I gave it 3 stars.
Well, shit, I didn't even know they had a match. This is on a pre-show?
Yeah.
Oh, man. Fuck. Well, there goes that.
It wasn't until the Universal title match that I realized, oh, yeah, there's actually like 2 more matches. I'm thinking the tag title match and the U.S. title match, and then I looked online. I was like, oh, it happened on the pre-show.
Well, shout out to Apollo for retaining, I guess.
Any thoughts, Josh?
No, because I didn't see it.
This tells you 100% our thoughts on WWE kickoff shows.
The main card starts with the women's tag titles on the line. Sasha and Bayley defeat Alexa and Nikki and the Iconics. Alexa tried a Twisted Bliss. She got rolled up and pinned by Sasha in 8 minutes, 50 seconds.
Man, I knew from the beginning of this show how great this was going to be. Yeah, Sasha Banks finally retaining a title. It was the greatest. Oh, man. I was like, watch, this is going to be a great show. Edge of Orton is going to be it's like, dreams come true, man. Don't let anybody ever tell you dreams don't come true. I'm telling you. Don't.
That sounds kind of... Jesus.
See, you got people like him just downplaying. That's just crazy. This is tough times, man. But
are you gonna give a star rating for this, an objective star rating for this, or are you just gonna?
Bad. They were all over the place. It was horrible. But if I had to give it a rating, I'd give it, because Sasha retained, I'll give it an extra star. I'm not biased. We say 2. 2 out of 5.
2 stars. Got it. All right. I'm going to give this one 2.5 stars. Like he said, a lot of the spots were a little bit off. The very contrived finish with Sasha stealing the pin. It seems like every WWE triple threat match has this, whether it's tag teams or singles. But I did like the fact that they did switch it up, where usually in a triple threat tag match, 2 competitors are in the ring. In this one, 3 competitors were in the ring, and it made it a little bit more entertaining.
I'll give it 2. I mean, it was okay for what it was. I didn't expect much. I already knew Bayley and Sasha was gonna retain, so
Right, that's right.
didn't need much.
How about you, Romeo?
Meh.
Oh, man. He pulled up
He
the
gave it to Chris G, Marcus Castry.
Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. Once I saw on Friday SmackDown Jeff Hardy throw the piss in Sheamus' face, I knew there was no chance of Jeff Hardy winning this. Sheamus wins with the bro kick in 16:46.
He did say that.
16 minutes?
What
the fuck?
Yeah, when he said he was watching yesterday, he did say that. So.
Well, the match definitely did drag. Had a couple cool spots. It's kind of weird how they set up leading into the match with Sheamus. Of course, Sheamus is going to win. He's out. He got pissed on at him. I'm going in there to want to beat the shit out of Jeff my goddamn self. Throwing pee on me like it's an R. Kelly segment. What the fuck is going on, man? But it was okay. It wasn't horrible. I had no hope. Well, I don't think, honestly, to be honest, I'm not gonna be biased here. I had no hopes going into the pay-per-view, and this match was what it was. I give it a 2.25.
Let's just look at the story. Just take a step back and look at this whole story. Yeah. So you had the babyface who had this triumphant return to SmackDown, overcoming his real life problems, and then his real life problems followed him to SmackDown when the heel framed him for a DUI and running someone over with a car and had him in jail.
Go ahead. Sorry to cut you off, Sid, but mind you, this goes to show the times we are in now. Sheamus has not even been investigating for doing any of that, by the way.
He said it in a passing line that the police acquitted him, but yes, then the heel made the babyface whose real life problems are a part of his story take a piss test in the middle of the ring before he would have a match with him, and then the babyface threw urine in the heel's face, and then in the end the heel got his revenge. I gave this 2 3/4 stars. It was better than it started off as. It was very awkward and off to start off, but it got better as it went around, but it was still very sloppy. So just under 3 stars.
I would say about 2.5. It was a decent match, to be honest. But whatever.
It's hard to get into this story. Like
it was like if they continue it, I mean, that's why I saw Sheamus winning, but
they definitely have a match at Extreme Rules or something.
Yeah.
Piss on a pole match.
I was talking to one of our good friends, part of our post-production team, Steve Stash, during this match, and I was like, this storyline would be the runaway winner for most disgusting promotional tactic of 2020 if WWE didn't fire 40-something people and then use it as a storyline on national TV. So they have 2 of the top candidates for most disgusting promotional tactic of 2020, and these 2 are in the lead by far. Like, you can say
first half of the year.
one of y'all can say one is higher than the other, but it's 1 and 2. Like, regardless, it's 1 and 2.
Damn, kind of sad.
And for the record, I like both storylines.
Of course you would.
Asuka versus Nia Jax. This ends in a double countout at 8:56. I have 0 interest in this feud continuing.
Jesus Christ. WWE. What the fuck was this finish? This like of all the finishes that this could happen, I think this is even worse than Nia beating Asuka. Nia beating Asuka would have at least put some progression in this story. Whether they were gonna move on with Nia as champion, or Asuka is now the challenger against the champion Nia. At least that would have switched up the story. None. But to have them run on a treadmill for 8.5 minutes and then have that finish, this was probably the second biggest disappointment of the night. I think we all know what was the biggest disappointment of the night, or not even disappointment, but worst thing that they put on this show, and we'll get to that in a bit. But this was one of the worst things on the show, and I gave this a 1.5 stars.
You were generous. You gave it a star. I was bad. And then the ending didn't help at all. And I'm just thinking, oh man, they're really about to drag this out. We're about to see more of this bullshit. Asuka can't save Nia. Sorry.
Yeah, I gave it 1 star.
He's like, that's all I got.
Yo, that finish gave me Yokozuna Maple flashbacks.
It wasn't interesting.
Oh no, it didn't. Not that close.
Let's just get to Asuka Charlotte. Let's get the ball rolling on that, please.
I mean, it seems like they're going to the triple threat first. I think they're going to save Asuka and Charlotte for SummerSlam, and then they're going to do the triple threat at Extreme Rules.
The Universal Championship was on the line. Braun Strowman versus Miz and Morrison. Hey, hey, ho, ho.
The music video.
Awesome music video. Wow.
Best part of the match.
Best part of the match.
I walked away, by the way, for the music video.
The classic, man.
Miz pulls Morrison off of a pin. On the kickoff show, it was announced that there would not be co-champions if they won, so that's why that happened. And Braun wins with the power slam in 7:22.
I mean, I gotta hand it to Miz and Morrison. I've never seen a team or two individuals in WWE been given such crap, and it's still crap. Like it's crap when they gave it to them on the script. It's crap when I'm watching it on television. But the way they just get their whole characters into it and just deep dive and just embrace that this is crap, I enjoy it. They make it entertaining. They force it to be entertaining by how entertaining they are as individuals, even in this crap of a storyline where they're both playing Ashton Kutcher to Braun Strowman's Justin Timberlake. So it's a horrible storyline. I'm glad it's over. This was just Braun needed to do something before he goes back to the Fiend. I gave this match 1 star.
Yeah, same, man. By the way, man, I hope Braun Strowman has some good ass car insurance. Jesus. This is just, oh man, you hate to see it, but and then him whining, my car. Like, imagine being that guy, supposed to be that big dominant figure, and whining about your car being fucking. But anyway, as a 1 star, I expected nothing going into this match. Thank God they did not over deliver. having what Sid said, having something for Braun to do, leading going back into probably facing the Fiend, or maybe even doing something else in Extreme Rules, and they saving him and Fiend till SummerSlam. So
I can see that.
I gave it 1 star. Yeah, that's about it for me. The spot that was weird for me was when he pulled Morrison off. Like it looked weird. Just because like what you just explained about they weren't gonna be co-champions. But like even off of that, they didn't build nothing after that. So it was just awkward for me.
That's what I'm saying. Like literally, like they didn't even build this match. They were just pulling pranks on Braun. And if you guys were gonna add that stipulation, wouldn't you want to like build to like, maybe Miz and Morrison might turn each other so they can become the WWE champion? I mean,
they could have. Yeah.
They didn't even do that. It's just, fuck it.
because even during the match, like that, it only happened once. Like when he just like took him off, and like there was like that little confrontation. It only happened once, and then he just wins. Like what? Like a minute after that, it was just. Yeah, it was.
it pretty much felt like because the whole story going into this was Miz and Morrison kept saying, oh, we're gonna be co-universal champions, and it just felt like yesterday morning, Vince was like, you know what? The finish has to be one of them pulling the other off of Braun before Braun takes advantage of that. So you know what? We're gonna have an interview and we're gonna explain only one person is gonna be Universal Champion. It literally was like that interview was just to set up the finish. That's it, because there was no other teases of it besides that.
Like it felt last minute. Like it felt like they just changed the last minute. That's what was whatever for me.
And this is like, I don't know about you guys. This is one question I gotta ask you guys. Is Braun Strowman already the worst Universal Champion ever? Cause I mean, Finn Balor's up there. I'm sorry. I like Finn Balor. I like Finn Balor as a performer, as a wrestler. But when you hold the title, you never defend it. You hold it for less than 24 hours. You kind of have that mantle as the worst Universal Champion ever, because it doesn't seem like anytime soon he's gonna win back that title. So he does have the mantle of the first and the worst Universal Champion. And Kevin Owens' ratings went down tremendously. He was never booked that strong. His title reign was about Chris Jericho more than him. Of course, we've all talked about the problems with.
It's so funny you say that, Sid. His title reign was about him and Jericho, only for them to build to that to then make it for the United States title. Wow.
Even worse than that when you think about that point, that's even worse. Then you had Brock Lesnar, who everybody was polarizing about. Oh, Brock's always away. I hate it. Let's be honest here. When you look at the spectrum of Universal Champions, Brock Lesnar is the greatest of all time. He's a two-time champion. He's had great matches. We've had Seth Rollins, who made the fans turn on him as Universal Champion. Roman was champion for a month and a half, and then he had his bout with leukemia. And Goldberg, we all know the fans hated that. So that's all the Universal Champions. Braun Strowman, where do you rank him?
As of now, I mean, I would say I give him time because he's still champion. But as of now, I would give him 3. It would be Finn, Goldberg, and then him.
I have only Finn worse than him.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think it's still Goldberg, just because when he literally had the belt, he just only defended it at WrestleMania and lost.
He never retained it. Both times.
He lost it both times at WrestleMania. Can't get worse than that. But I can see with Strowman, just because right now he's just in the state let's see what works, because technically he wasn't even supposed to be the champion.
He was supposed to be champion right now. So, but at the same time, when you're given that chance, that spot, you try to make best of it. Like it doesn't even he doesn't even feel like a champion to me.
No, I mean,
it feel like Braun has the belt. Like honestly.
Yeah, you make the best. You make the best of the situation, but then also right now, because there's such a unique situation with the whole pandemic going on. I mean, it's pretty hard for people to get behind champions, even though has done an amazing job being champion, at least at this time. He's been great. It's just sad that he's champion where the reigns are not great.
Right.
But it's definitely not his fault.
No, it's not. Not at all.
For the WWE Championship, Lashley versus Drew McIntyre. This match ends with Lana getting in there, distracting. She gets bumped by Lashley into MVP on the outside. Claymore. Drew wins in 13 minutes, 16 seconds.
Another really good matchup for the title reign of Drew McIntyre. McIntyre has just been continuously delivering as WWE champion. He had a match of the year candidate at Money in the Bank, and this one was really good. It was only hurt by the finish to the match, having the typical distraction finish and the finish with Lana. Even though they did, and even with that finish, they did set it up perfectly. A lot better than they set up the finich to the Universal Championship matchup. Like the whole story about Lashley getting the title title has been about MVP taking on the role of his manager and pushing Lana to the side. So you had to bring that in. And the finish also protected Lashley. So it means that we possibly haven't seen the end of Lashley's push. So I enjoyed this matchup, and I gave it 3 3/4 stars.
Again, another match I had no expectations going into, but it goes to show how great Drew McIntyre has been doing as champion, literally since he's won the belt. He's showing more charisma. He's out there putting on good matches on Raw, and now the last 2 pay-per-views, he got a really, really good match out of Bobby Lashley at this time, and Bobby hasn't had a good match probably since his first run. So, you know, I'm liking Drew McIntyre as champ. Hopefully, it continues for a while. So I want him to see how if the fans react whenever they decide, or whenever we're able to get back to going to live venues. And yeah, the match definitely delivered more than I expected it to be. So yeah, same with said 3 3/4.
I give it 3.5. What I liked about the match is that they made this like probably the strongest they've made Lashley look in WWE, closest to like where he had in his Impact run, I would say. But the finish for me was shit, so that's kind of what docked it for me. Overall, it was a better match than I expected.
Absolutely.
Definitely. It reminded me of their matchup in Impact from Impact Slammiversary. I believe it was 2016. They had a great match then. This was reminiscent of it with a couple of spots like the Kimura, the ankle lock, the little MMA transitions they had.
So, in that match, Bobby almost killed Drew.
Yeah, like those little things kind of like you were like, well, I would say like a little surprising, but I liked how they kind of used that like for Lashley's background. So but like I said, I liked how they made him look strong in this match, like the strongest they've made him look in a while. So, hopefully they built from here.
And this was just 2 big guys just beating the crap out of each other. I really liked the whole beginning with them fighting on the outside. I felt like that's when the match like went up a little bit of level because they were just beating the crap out of each other on the outside.
Lashley was broke freaking Drew's neck. He freaking fell. I was like, oh man, hopefully.
I was like, oh.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, don't get a WWE title match and injure the champion. Sheesh.
Next up on the card, what the fuck was this? Street Profits, Viking Raiders. What is this cinematic garbage? You got Akira Tozawa and ninjas on bikes. You got Ivar dream sequences. You got freaking monster coming out of the garbage. What the fuck?
Alligator. They're very big in Florida.
Somebody, please. I can't.
And mind you, the match never even happened. So they probably wasted a good fucking 20 minutes of our time because it felt like it was going on forever. That shit was horrible.
No results. No winner.
And honestly, are they both faces? Or one is facing the heel? Like, what is even the dynamic of this whole feud to begin with? Because they're beating the shit out of each other. Like, you would think they're in a blood feud. Then they're going to be friends. Then they're fighting fucking ninjas. And then it's like, what the fuck is going on?
To be honest, I thought it was a match. And because even I asked, I was just like, yo, like, is this another cinematic match? Because like they even put in the freaking background music. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then to find out, it wasn't even a match when the ref came out. Hey guys, you're up next. I was like, what? And then it was so bad that even freaking Wendy, she said it reminded her like a Power Rangers, like when the putties used to come out. Power Rangers. Oh my God. Yeah, it was bad.
Oh man.
This was by far like I know Top Guy JJ and Romeo, they shitted on the Backlot Brawl from last week's NXT takeover in your house, but hey, this whole thing, and I don't even know what to call it, just told the Backlot Brawl to hold its beer. This was the worst cinematic match or cinematic thing that WWE has ever done. It's even worse than House of Horrors because House of Horrors made sense in the structure of the characters and what we knew about Orton and Bray Wyatt before the House of Horrors. This was all presented to us for weeks as two friendly tag teams doing anything you can do, we can do better series of events and decathlon, if you will. And then we just randomly go backstage, and these two friendly tag teams who had been cheering for each other in tag team matches on Monday Night Raw when they went against MVP and Lashley, each of these teams, are now fighting and brawling like they hate each other backstage. I literally facepalmed immediately when this thing started, because as soon as you go backstage to them fighting, you hear the background music, and I knew what was coming. I was like, no, they're not turning this into a cinematic match. Please tell me they're not turning this into a cinematic match. And then they go into the prop truck and get golf clubs and shields and bowling balls. It basically, it was just like, oh, you guys enjoyed our anything you can do, yeah, we can do better challenge, so we're gonna make it a whole cinematic matchup with dream sequences of Ivar, and we can see his dreams. So I got on Romeo and Chris G for their review of the Wednesday Night Warriors. If you haven't checked that out, check it out. But I got on them for the huge logic hole that they missed on NXT. But I also wanted to get on them with the fact that they didn't call out that NXT turned into WCW 2000, where Roderick Strong and we, the fans, can see Dexter Lumis, but Adam Cole and Bobby Fish can't see Dexter Lumis. And then at Backlash, they went one up. They was like, oh, you won WCW 2000. Oh, we'll show you WCW in 2000. This was the closest to WCW in 2000 than anything WWE has ever done.
I definitely agree there.
At the end of that whole tag team nonsense, I was like, yeah, this is the biggest sign that Bruce Pritchard is in control of this company. Because that's Bruce Pritchard in a nutshell. That whole segment, that's Bruce Pritchard's, booking. He has his fingerprints all over that crap.
Like I've always said with WWE, their problem is that when they add, comedy shit, it feels so forced.
Super forced.
It's... you can't force comedy. You just gotta let it happen. And I feel like they force it too much.
Only times WWE's been funny in the past decade is when they let people just be themselves. The New Day, Team Hell No. Those are two of the funniest things or funniest acts that they've had. And that was just them being like, hey guys, here you go, do your thing.
Or even R-Truth. They just let him be he's actually funny. But with this shit, sometimes I feel like they force it too much.
There's no reason the Viking Raiders should even be in this position any fucking way. How do you go from being one of the most dominant type character tag teams and now you're a fucking joke? They legit made them a whole fucking joke like that.
I know it's insane. Sure, feel bad for those guys, but. I mean, that's what they signed up for, so can't really feel. I don't feel totally bad for them, but
I think I get it. Brilliant, excellent match card placement, putting that acid trip right before the greatest wrestling match ever. Genius! Put that trash right out there. Let the fans get over watching that and get pumped up to see Edge and Randy Orton. Before the match, the greatest match ever, they explained that this match will have enhanced audio and different camera angles for your viewing experience.
Made it so much better too, by the way.
Say that again?
Made it so much better, by the way.
Oh my. Charles Robinson was the ref. He's got the old school shirt, nice little bow tie.
The Fink appears from the dead. Tell them, Romeo. We got zombie Fink.
Microphone comes down, dim the lights. You hear the Fink introduce Randy Orton and Edge. That was awesome.
They've done that before, in Yankee Stadium when they did that with Bob Shepard before he passed away. They've done something like that. So That's what that reminded me of. I thought it was a little. I thought it was a little cool. I mean, before that, I thought it was like over the top. But then, like once it got around to it, it was like, oh shit, like that's pretty cool.
The enhanced audio, piped crowd noise, unnecessary, insulting my intelligence.
Yeah, that's one of the. To be honest, that shit bothered me all night about the match. Because I felt like when it came to all that, I was just like, yo, the match would have been good on its own. You didn't need all that shit. But I think why they did that was to maybe cover up maybe some of like
for editing, but they would have match and show clips and shit like that.
Yeah, I think that's why they did it. Like, I know like the "This is awesome" chants like annoyed me because it was just like, yo, like even the crowd themselves don't even sound like that.
It sounded like 30,000 people.
Yo, the crowd, funny, the crowd was the complete opposite of the enhanced chants. I'm like, wait, you guys are fucking it up, like.
Leave this to the laws of 1995, please.
I was like, at least they could have had like a teleprompter, so when they're gonna do a "This is awesome" chant, they could have put on the screen, chant "This is awesome," so the crowd could like help it out, amp it up a little bit. I enjoyed the cheers when they were correctly placed in the matchup. The most jarring thing about the enhanced audio was definitely the boos during the match. Because they were not well timed, they were way too loud, and then the number one part where they could have added the boos and it would have been perfect is the finish, and they didn't do it.
And like what Romeo said, it was very insulting towards intelligence because we know they don't sound like this. We know the NXT people don't sound like this at all. So it was like, I don't know. That was the only part I was really annoyed with. It wasn't even the match itself.
Speaking of what the fuck are they doing, hokey camera angles, the opening lockup, you see a camera up here looking up into the lockup. Like there's a magical camera inside the ring. A cameraman quickly got in there, got the fuck out. What is up with these stupid camera angles?
You gotta make the greatest wrestling match ever look like a great wrestling match, you know?
They wanted to have like movie production for a wrestling match where it brings the cinematicness but puts it in the ring for an actual wrestling match, and that's what they quite possibly might be, the greatest wrestling match ever.
This is the greatest show. When I tell you guys for weeks, nobody believed me. This match was gonna be amazing. I gave this match. I
let him finish.
Talk this match up so much to step. Oh, you were still talking, Sid? I'm sorry, good brother.
I said let Romeo finish talking about the match before you praise it. Like,
I'm sorry. I'm so worked up.
He can't help us.
All he brought up was the lockup. Like,
Edge and Orton lockup, 7 stars.
7 stars, exactly. There you go.
Ton of moves here used. Edge used the kill switch. Orton used the pedigree, the angle slam. Kick out of a ton of finishers. Orton blades. This was better than WrestleMania.
I don't know, because people that blade don't usually do it on their eyebrow. I think that was a real headbutt. That was the hard way.
Excuse me. Orton bleeds. Excuse me.
They did the nice little edit job where one moment Orton's busted open on the apron, and then by the time he rolls back in the ring, he's perfectly clean. I was like, man, that was the most jarring edit job of this match. I was just like,
that's what I noticed. I was just like, okay, I think this is not fully done.
This match ends with Randy Orton doing a low blow and then a punt. I noticed the leg slap on the punt. I don't know if you did.
I don't care what he did.
Damn leg slap.
Punt, man. Just
that was very NXT of him.
Swift kick to the skull, as the great Orton would say. Swift kick to the skull to end a classic.
Well, it was a great finish because Orton is the one that went to the wrestling match, and then Edge had him in his head and arm choke, and then Orton hit him low with the knee. So he had to cheat to win this greatest wrestling match ever, and he pulled out the punt for the first time in years.
7 long years. The last person that got punted was Big Show at Extreme Rules 2013. Oh, man.
Wow, fun fact.
Fun fact,
Dang,
yeah.
how do you think for that? That's like very Joe Buck of you.
And Randy Orton's hometown of St. Louis, Missouri, by the way. Last time it happened.
Man, dropping facts.
Okay, we get it, Joe Buck.
I am J Buck, not Joe Buck. J Buck. Thank you.
No, Joe Buck. Definitely Joe Buck.
Let's get rid of the OE and keep the J. Thank you.
This match was 44 minutes, 47 seconds. And of course, as SP3 said, the irony. Randy Orton saying he's the best technical wrestler, and he uses dirty tactics to win. This was not the greatest wrestling match ever, but was it the best match of both of their careers?
I would say yes.
Greatest wrestling, if you want to talk about
Singles. Yeah.
Wrestling, if you want to talk about wrestling, not gimmicks.
Take out the TLC matches.
I would definitely go with that.
By far, Edge's, because Edge is always, for me, has always been known to be in stipulation matches. So I felt like that this was like his best singles match.
I would say by far for Orton. By far for Orton, this is his best one-on-one matchup of his career. Edge.
That's not a stipulation?
Yeah, that wasn't a stipulation. Edge, the only matchup that I could say that is on par with this for him is Taker at WrestleMania 24.
Yeah, I was going with Taker at Mania, and then him and Angle at Judgment Day.
Him and Angle had a great series in 2002, or even him and Eddie, but that was a no DQ match, so I guess you could say that was a stipulation match. But as far as one-on-one singles matches, this is the best one Edge has had since the Undertaker at WrestleMania 24. It's the best match. It's the best one-on-one matchup of Randy Orton's career by far, in my opinion. I don't know. I can't say that. Like with Edge, right off the top of my head, I thought of the Undertaker match. With Orton, no, there's no matchup one-on-one that comes off the top of my head that's as great as that. It's his best one-on-one singles match ever. He's had great one-on-one matches. Don't get me wrong, Junk Guy. I see you upset. He's had great one-on-one matches with John Cena. Their first one at SummerSlam in 2007. Benoit at SummerSlam 2004. But that's erased from WWE history, so I didn't even think of that one. So thank you. That is probably the one that is as great as this one, but. Like I said, for Orton, and I would go as far as to say the greatest WWE main roster matchup of 2020. I'm going to give it.
I love hearing this.
I'm going to give it the nod. I'm going to give it the nod over Drew and Rollins. Drew and Rollins was just as great. I'll give my rating now. It was I gave it 4.5 stars. 4.5 stars is the rating that I gave for Drew and Rollins at Money in the Bank. It's also the rating that I gave to Styles and Bryan on SmackDown this week. So we've had 3 main roster matches that are just been great this year. But I felt like this one was greater than the rest of them because it had so much to live up to. Like Styles and Bryan, they had a great match on SmackDown, and everybody was like, yeah, we expected that. They always have great matches. 2 of the best wrestlers in the business. Drew and Rollins, that one caught us a little bit by surprise because we didn't expect it to be that great in the empty arena platform, and it was for the WWE Championship. But for a match that going in, WWE gave the 2 performers expectations that they were never going to meet. But they somehow met our expectations because we didn't believe WWE's expectations. None of us did. And none of you watching this probably did. So us as fans, the expectations that we had for this match, they exceeded that. This was a great match. This was a match of the year candidate, and bravo to Edge and Orton.
I gave this match, this is the only match I cared to rate, 4.75 stars. And the only reason it's not 5 stars is because of these stupid efforts, not for Edge and Orton, these stupid efforts to try and enhance this match with the audio and the camera angles. It's awful. But Edge and Orton, they did their job. Great match.
I gave it 4.5 stars.
Oh, God.
Not 7. 4.5. 4.5. I mean, both guys killed it, to be honest with you. It was a great guy. This guy. He's drinking the whole bottle.
You deserve it, pal.
You deserve it. You deserve it.
There we go. It's done.
You
It's done.
deserve it.
The greatest bottle ever.
He finished it.
I mean, like as a overall, overall it was a great match. I mean, that's like you said, as a match of the year, I think story wise it was definitely match of the year for them. Look at this guy.
Oh my God, this is great. This is great. The greatest show.
Calm down, man. I didn't say 5 stars. Calm down.
You said 5 stars too? Oh my God, what is going on? You just said
I
5.
said it wasn't. I said it wasn't. Cut it out. Cut it out.
Watch.
All right.
I mean, but overall, I mean, it was a great match. Like, I didn't like the overall enhancing of the match itself, but then also like even promote like the way they were promoting it as like the greatest match ever. I just think if they would have just left that alone, it would have been great. It would have even been better on its own because people still would have been talking about it instead of like everyone having mixed reactions to it. Because what WWE did is that you promote it as the greatest match ever, so that's what a lot of fans expect. And there was nothing less than that, then of course people are going to bitch about it. So that's why, I mean, with me, I've seen mixed reaction to it, but I thought it was a great match. Like it was it was both guys' best match by far together. Definitely better than 36, but even, 36, you didn't have to do much. Within 10 minutes, it was already better than 36, to be honest. So
Blew that out of the water.
Yeah.
I wish we would have got this match at WrestleMania.
No, exactly. This match should have been what it is, what it was for WrestleMania. That's like it should have been that. It shouldn't have been a freaking a last man standing match. Like it shouldn't.
It probably would have been that if Mania turned out how it's supposed to turn out. So you never know. So
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to that, but it was just like this match. They didn't have to do that much for it to be better than 36.
By the way, we wish a speedy recovery to Edge, who suffered a torn tricep during this match.
What do you guys think about that? I mean, me personally, yeah, that was my first reaction was, God damn it, like, this is only his 3rd match back, and he's already hurt. And I was like, Orton, you had one job, not injure Edge, and you couldn't even do that. But what made it worse was finding out that it wasn't even an injury in the actual match that they first shot. It was in redoing spots that they felt were not perfect during the first taping, reshooting the second RKO where Edge goes to the second rope, turns around, goes for a crossbody, but Orton reverses it to an RKO. He catches him. That's where he tears his bicep, and then you did see the bruising on his bicep at the end of the match. So I hope that he has a speedy recovery. Hopefully he can come back fast to that, because I would hate for this to be the official end of Edge's career. But even if it is, he went out with one of his best matches ever.
They said a lot of athletes who don't use their muscles for years, which of course Edge hasn't wrestled in 9.5 years, are more likely to tear their tricep, which was weird. So I'm like, damn, maybe Edge is kind of frail, but he's had a lot of arm injuries.
I mean, it could be that, but then also, I mean, Edge has been known to be pretty injury prone.
Exactly.
Like, when I heard
his shoulder, his neck, his Achilles, like Edge is like another bionic man.
Yeah.
Probably done wrestled like over 2 hours already in the span of 3 matches alone. So
on top of that, like to do reshoots. I mean, that's why for me it wasn't 5 stars, because when I found out the reshoots, it was just like, what kind of fucking matches does reshoots? A lot of people they like the spots where they did like other people's moves. I mean, I really didn't like it that much, to be honest with you. Just because when you've seen great matches, you don't see people do that. I get why they did it, but for me, it was just like, it was whatever for me. They didn't really do.
It felt forced. It felt very, very, very
the only
shooted.
thing that threw me off was the rock bottom. The rock bottom threw me off.
The rock bottom and the pedigree, all of it felt very.
Made sense because
No, it just felt forced. It felt forced. The angle slam is the only one that they actually had a story about. And
Orton used that move, so
yeah, Orton used it, and the fact that they had Kurt Angle do his little thing on Raw where he went for Edge, the announcers played it off perfectly. They was like, Orton's using that as a little like snide to Angle because he picked Edge to win it. I was like, oh, okay, that's perfect. Even the chop battle I can accept. The chop battle reminiscent of Steamboat versus Flair, because that's adding and bringing in an element from another great match and bringing it in here. Everything else just felt very shoehorned. And the Unprettier was appropriate as well because of, both of their connections to Christian. But everything else felt very forced and shooted.
And also, yeah, like not only forced, but it just didn't look good. Like the rock bottom didn't look that good. The pedigree didn't look that good. It was just.
And I felt like there was too much with the using the finishers just for them to kick out of them. Like you were already gonna have these guys kick out of 2 of each of their finishers already. So to not only have their finishers just basically be ineffective, you made everybody else's in history's finishers be ineffective.
Drunk guy JJ, I feel bad that you had to sit through all that. This is your time to gloat, your time to shine. You tell these guys they're wrong.
You guys made my day praising this match as is. I honestly, for weeks talking about how great this match was going to be, 7 stars, I, in my mind, knew this could be a 7-star match. But as we got into the match, there were certain things that didn't work out in my favor, so I bumped it down to a 6. Then hearing you guys talk about it a little more, I was like, damn, maybe a 5.25. It makes a little better, but from that ending, literally, it didn't even feel like 44 minutes. Thanks for actually even letting me know how long it went. But everything worked out. The entrances, the intro to the match, the fact that they were going back and forth, it made me be proud to be a rated RKO fan. So this is not a biased rating. This is not me being biased. I promise you, I am going the full 5 stars on Orton and Edge. Matter of fact, fuck it. I'll give it 5.25. I'm gonna give it 5.25 right now.
You just said you weren't gonna give it.
One of the greatest wrestling matches I've ever seen.
You're full of shit.
This was amazing.
This guy.
How you change your diehard fan of both Randy Orton and Edge? It was, man, it brought a tear to my eye when Randy Orton did that punt and pinned him.
This rating should not count. I call it
amazing.
I'm protesting this rating.
We have enough protesting going on. I think we need to protest for a wrestling match.
I mean, I gotta go outside and loop, but I'm just saying.
I'm giving this match 5.25.
That's bullshit. But
I will go as far as to say that if this match was in front of fans, I would have gone I would have gone 4.75 or 5 stars for this match if it was in front of actual fans.
Yeah. But also it has to be in front of the right crowd because, there's some crowds who they just suck, to be honest.
I'm trying to remember
New York
what city was supposed to have this match have Backlash anyway. I think it was California, if I'm not mistaken.
Well, this would not be happening if we were in the COVID era at Backlash.
Exactly. I was saving this for SummerSlam.
Yeah. So we wouldn't have gotten this particular match if it wasn't for the COVID era. So I'm happy that it's occurred. It happened. I wish they didn't give the unrealistic expectations to this match beforehand, because no, it is not 4.25 or 5.25 like Drunk Guy JJ gave it. But I believe, like I said, if it was in front of fans, everyone would have a realistic argument to call this a 5-star matchup. It had a great story with Orton being one step ahead of Edge throughout the entire matchup. We had blood to enhance the match and take it to another level. The story and the work, these guys were running the ropes. These guys had different spots from other matches. I called out, we had the famous Johnny B. Bad versus Brian Pillman spot where they did the cross body into each other, and it reminded me of that match.
the spot that Edge tore his tricep, that was a callback from the Edge Orton and Christian match when he beat him to become world champion.
Edge, Orton, and Christian match?
No. The spot where Edge tore his tricep from the RKO.
Oh, it's from the Christian. That's from SummerSlam 2011.
Well, and from SmackDown.
Mm-hmm.
Spot. Yep.
I would say is the best WWE main roster matchup of 2020. But like I said, there's been really great matchups this year, so this definitely lived up to that mantle.
Absolutely.
But not the greatest match ever. It's not the greatest wrestling match ever. It's not even close to the greatest wrestling match ever. I can name 20 matches from New Japan. I could name 5 from AEW. Cinematic and not cinematic, that were all better than this matchup.
Agree to disagree, but it's okay.
By the way, great job putting that Daniel Bryan AJ Styles match on Friday, because if that was on this show, it would have taken away from what Edge and Orton did.
Honestly, they made themselves look like geniuses for that decision. Like 10 minutes into the Edge versus Orton match, I was like, yeah, they made the right decision putting A Styles and Bryan on Friday, and not this show. This show until the main event was one of the worst WWE shows in quite some time, and then the main event saved it.
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I think if it wasn't for this match, the freaking whole card would have been shit. Like, if it wasn't for this match.
Guys, let's wrap up this Backlash. Match of the night, I don't think it's no debate. Across the board.
Greatest wrestling match ever. But this is the greatest show, man.
This is the greatest show.
Randy Orton is delivered. This is the greatest show.
I think we're all in agreement. Edge versus Orton is definitely match of the night.
Unanimous. MVP. I personally am going to go with Edge for that comeback. And,
it's easy for
glad that he got that injury.
Is rated RKO. That's it. Rated RKO.
I'm not going to give it to Randy Orton because of that leg slap at the end.
He did a punt again, okay? It's rated RKO. That's my MVP.
No, that was very NXT of him. Very NXT.
That was the point. He trolled you. He trolled.
No. Still used it. He used it too.
No, he definitely did troll. He definitely did troll because the tweet, because what nobody really is gonna point out, and I'll put it out right here, the tweet came out after the match had already been taped, so he knew he was doing a leg slap in the match. So that was a perfect troll job.
Josh, who's your MVP?
Edge, easily.
I really want to go with Edge or Orton. But I feel like this gentleman deserves some praise because, I don't know, I think I gave him for Money in the Bank as well, but I'll give it to him here again, the WWE champion, Drew McIntyre, because he delivered once again. And for the COVID era, it's sad that he's WWE champion during the COVID era, so we got to give him as much praise as possible.
LVP of Backlash. Josh, let's start with you.
That whole... Viking Raiders, Street Profit, all of them. That's it. Even Akira Tozawa, him too. that whole thing was just ridiculous.
Drunk guy.
Well, I was going to say everybody but rated RKO. That would have been again too biased. And then I remembered my queen Sasha retained her title, so then I had to think again. So I'm like, damn, I can't say that either. So if I do LVP. Well, do we do the Viking Raiders? Because technically they didn't have a match.
They were on the show. They can be least valuable players.
That whole Viking Raiders Street Profit segment. Both of them.
That shit was longer than some of the matches on the show.
Get that the fuck out of here.
I'm going to give it to the person who deserves the LVP most of all. Who booked this shit, in the words of Conrad Thompson? It was Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard is the LVP, and I feel like for a lot of these WWE main roster shows, this will be a common theme going further.
Oh boy, that's gonna finna be a breeze.
My LVP is Lana. Why didn't she just go with Rusev? Like, she's just useless on WWE television right now. It's just, she's hurting Lashley. I hate it.
And she's there for 5 more years, by the way.
Yeah.
Just to remind you guys. She's there for 5 more years.
Ouch.
Left.
I'm sure in that 5 years, her and Rusev would definitely get a divorce. I'm not Negro Damas or anything, you know.
To be honest, probably by the end of this year.
All right, guys, we're gonna put our hands out, and I'm gonna count it down on 3, 2, 1. Thumbs up or thumbs down. 3, 2, 1. What is that, Josh? I can't see. Thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
We got thumbs down, thumbs in the middle, thumbs up. Shocker. And with this, we can give our scale of 0 to 10. I'm going to give this pay-per-view a 5. And that's only for the Edge Orton match. You need to watch it if you haven't already. Just watch that.
Yeah. It's a 5. That was literally the only watchable match out of the card.
It's not a must watch, but it was definitely a really good match.
Yeah, you gave the whole damn show a thumbs up. What kind of shit is that?
Cause it had Randy Orton and Edge.
It's still one goddamn
match. Exactly.
But
Randy RKO saved the show.
The whole card has
one. Randy RKO saved the show.
Well, how many matches does the card have?
I don't know, and I don't really even care. Randy Orton and Edge
watched it. So how you don't know?
A classic, because that shit doesn't matter. Sasha started the show and won. Randy Orton and Edge closed the show and gave us what we wanted.
It does matter. How you give the whole show a thumbs up?
Because we saw the greatest wrestling match ever. That's all that matters. What else? Why are you complaining? You praised it.
I gave this show.
I praised it, not the damn whole show.
That was a big part of the show, from the whole show.
The show had 8 matches though. Come on.
Did it? I don't know.
Come on.
Okay. All that's in my head is Sasha won, Randy RKO delivering a classic. I can't. And then we had Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley.
Oh, stop it! You're trying to defend it. Stop it.
I gave this show 6 out of 10. Much like Romeo, that a lot of that is due to what possibly could have been the greatest wrestling match ever between Randy Orton and Edge, but it also had a very good WWE title match between Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. The women's tag match was decent, the same as the Jeff Hardy versus Sheamus. The only thing that kind of weighs it down and doesn't give it a little bit higher is that Raw Tag Team title cinematic trash. It ended appropriately in the trash.
The worst wrestling match ever.
Put your comments down below what you guys thought about WWE Backlash and what possibly could have been the greatest wrestling match ever. We want to know what your star rating was for it. Romeo gave it 4.75. I gave it 4.5, as well as Josh. And of course, Drunk Guy JJ gave it 5.25 stars. So we want to find out from you, how do you rate the greatest wrestling match ever? Push the like button, give us a thumbs up, make sure we know that you enjoyed these videos, enjoyed these pay-per-view roundtables, and we will be back with our next pay-per-view roundtable next month for WWE Extreme Rules. Logo pop here, I guess. And of course, the iCard down at the bottom, you can push that to subscribe and the bell to stay notified for all the great content right here on True Hill Heat. So, Josh, thank you very much for joining us again right here on the YouTube channel. And I think you're joining us for another video in the future. You want to tell the fine people about that?
Yeah, we're doing True Rewind for Halloween Havoc.
WCW.
The greatest pay-per-view of all time.
WCW Halloween Havoc 1995. Josh will join us on True Rewind. If you haven't caught True Rewind before, it's definitely a fun journey as myself, Drunk Guy JJ, and Romeo go through the Monday Night War in our DeLorean. So, Josh, we picked him up along the way. He's our Doc Brown for the Halloween Havoc episode. And yes, We will be in Halloween costumes, so look forward to that one right here
Gonna
on
be
the
scary.
Once again, give us a thumbs up, push the subscribe, push the bell to stay notified. For the connoisseur of all reporting, Romeo Anthony Colon. For the Supreme Dream, Drunk Guy JJ. Our heel Marrero, Josh, he will be back for True Rewind. So it is me, your True Heel Phenom SP3. We are signing off for WWE Backlash 2020 Pay-Per-View Roundtable. Until next time.
This is the greatest show.